Christmas morning should have been filled with warmth. The smell of cinnamon rolls baking, the faint sound of carols from the radio, wrapping paper rustling as children laughed. But in Evelyn's house, there was no laughter for me. Only instructions barked like orders. I sat quietly at the edge of the couch, my hands folded neatly in my lap, waiting for her to hand me a gift, a token, anything that might remind me I was still her mother. Instead, she stood in front of me, her silk robe swishing as she tossed something heavy into my lap. A black plastic trash bag. It crinkled under my fingers as I looked up at her, confused. She smirked, her lipstick painted too bright, her eyes sharp and cold. "Pack your belongings," she said, loud enough for everyone in the room to hear. "It's time you stopped taking up space here. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video." The room fell silent except for the crackle of the fireplace. Her husband chuckled awkwardly, pretending to adjust his tie. My grandson stared at his new toy, pretending he hadn't heard. No one defended me. No one even blinked. I looked down at the trash bag, my reflection warped in its glossy black surface. A lump rose in my throat, but I swallowed it. I had been humiliated before, whispered about at family dinners, ignored in conversations, treated like background furniture. But this was different. This was final. A declaration that I no longer belonged, not even in the home I had helped pay for. "Did you hear me, Mother?" Evelyn's voice cut through the air. "Pack up. You can't live here forever. You're not needed." My fingers tightened around the plastic, the edges digging into my palms. I nodded once, slowly, quietly. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. That's what she expected for me to cry, to plead for her mercy. But instead, I rose carefully, my knees creaking, and walked past her without a word. Behind me, I heard the faintest laugh. "See? She knows her place." But what Evelyn didn't know was that humiliation only lasts a moment. Documents last forever. That same afternoon, while she sipped champagne and unwrapped her diamonds, I sat at the lawyer's office with my coat still buttoned, snow melting off my sleeves. The pen was heavy in my hand, but my grip was steady. My signature was slow, deliberate, final. I wasn't just packing my belongings into a trash bag. I was packing her future into a single document. The kind of document that would change everything she thought she owned, everything she thought she deserved. The kind of document that would prove one truth. Christmas morning was not the end of me. It was the beginning of her downfall. By New Year's Eve, Evelyn was parading her arrogance like it was the newest piece of jewelry around her neck. She had spent the days after Christmas telling anyone who would listen how she had finally told her mother the truth and set boundaries. I overheard her on the phone with a friend laughing, "You should have seen her face when I handed her that trash bag. Pitiful." Each word was meant to bury me deeper. Instead, every cruel syllable became another nail she hammered into her own coffin. She didn't know that while she boasted, I was in and out of the lawyer's office, my signature reshaping the very foundation of her life. The mansion she flaunted, the accounts she dipped into, the comfort she wrapped herself in every night, none of it truly belonged to her. They all still had my name, my sweat, my sacrifices written across them. She believed she had reduced me to a shadow in my own life, but in reality, I still held the strings. At dinner one evening, she decided to mock me in front of guests again. I had placed a small plate of rolls on the table, trying to help. She snatched it from my hands, slammed it down, and muttered loud enough for everyone, "She doesn't know when to quit. Always in the way." Her friends chuckled nervously. James shook his head, pouring more wine. I kept my face still, my hands folded in my lap, my heart steady. They thought I was shrinking, but in truth, I was growing sharper. The lawyer had already begun processing the transfer. I changed beneficiaries, rewrote clauses, and stripped Evelyn's name from every document that had once promised her a future. My charity organizations, the very ones she mocked me for supporting, now stood to inherit everything. Even the small cottage she dismissed as that dusty old place was redirected to a single mother who had once cleaned for me with more kindness than Evelyn had shown in her entire life. But I wasn't finished. I began to leave small hints, deliberate and slow. A phone call Evelyn overheard, a receipt left carelessly on the counter. The lawyer's card slipped into my purse. Each piece planted a seed of doubt in her mind, and I saw it work. Her laughter became tighter, her commands sharper, her eyes darting when she thought no one was watching. She was unraveling without even knowing why. On the outside, the family thought Christmas had silenced me. They thought humiliation had broken me. But while Evelyn sipped champagne, I was rewriting her story. And the beauty of it was simple. She wouldn't realize until the very moment the ground disappeared beneath her. The day of reckoning came like a crack in glass quiet at first, then impossible to ignore. Evelyn had planned another grand family gathering for early January, her way of showing off her supposed perfect home. She dressed in a velvet gown, diamonds glittering at her throat, walking from room to room, giving commands to the staff as if she were royalty. I followed quietly, as I always had, and no one suspected the storm I'd prepared. The guests arrived, coats draped over their arms, laughter echoing in the marble foyer. Evelyn clinked her glass for attention, smiling with teeth too white, eyes too cruel. "We're celebrating a new year and new beginnings," she said, looking at me with that familiar disdain. "And of course, we're so blessed to have Mother with us. She's staying until she finds somewhere suitable." Her friends chuckled politely. The humiliation was meant to sting, but my silence was heavier than her words. Just then, the doorbell rang again. This time, it wasn't guests. It was the lawyer, briefcase in hand, eyes calm, voice firm. "Mrs. Langley," he said, addressing me, not her. The room froze. Evelyn's face drained of color. "Why is he here?" she snapped, stepping forward. I rose slowly, letting every second stretch like silk being pulled apart. "Because," I said, my voice steady, "tonight you will learn what real new beginnings look like." The lawyer opened his case, pulling out a thick folder of documents. He announced in front of everyone that ownership of the house, the vehicles, the accounts, every shred of wealth Evelyn paraded had been transferred. Not to her, not to James, not to anyone at that table, but to foundations, charities, and people she'd mocked as beneath her. The gasps rippled around the room like wind through broken glass. Evelyn's mouth fell open, words caught in her throat. "No, no, you can't. This is my house, my life." "No," I said, locking eyes with her. "It was mine. And when you handed me that trash bag on Christmas, you told me what I was worth to you. Tonight, I'm telling you what you're worth to me." Her knees buckled as she reached for James, but even he stepped back, shame etched across his face. The guests sat in horrified silence, watching as Evelyn clawed at the papers, begging, bargaining, screaming. Her velvet dress, her diamonds, her manicured hands, all the armor she had built looked pitiful against the weight of reality. I stood taller than I had in years, my shoulders no longer bent by humiliation. The trash bag she had tossed at me was gone. In its place was her future, packed neatly into a single document, stripped away with the same cruelty she had shown me. I didn't shout. I didn't curse. I simply turned to leave, my coat draped over my arm. Behind me, her sobs filled the grand hall like a hymn. By the time I reached the door, I knew the truth. She had given me a trash bag, but I had given her emptiness, and she would never forget it. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video?